Opening statements are done, and then the judge basically lets everybody know that they need to take a lunch break. But the one thing that the judge says after the jury leaves, he asks the attorneys to be seated. Do either of the parties have anything to raise before we adjourn for lunch? Ms. Comey, for the government, says, "Not from us, Your Honor." The court questions Brian Steele. Mr. Steele? Good afternoon, Your Honor. Mr. Steele speaks. I want to call the court's attention. The prosecutor for the first witness is going to attempt to introduce, I believe, she's very professional, told me 2 exhibits. It's Government Exhibit 7R-141, as well as Government Exhibit 7R-148. I will have an objection to both. I just want to give you a heads up in case you wanted to discuss it at all. I didn't want to slow down the case. The court responds, well, in the future, let's try to have these things raised the day before, because in this kind of situation, what I would like to have done is have had the parties address these issues at the beginning of the day. That's just for the next time. For now, where are these exhibits? What is the objection? Government speaks. Ms. Slavik. Your Honor, I can take it from here. We apologize for not raising this until today. The government has been conferring with defense about business record stipulations, and the government had thought that we had reached an agreement over the weekend. The defense informed us that they would not be stipulating to the admissibility of these particular records. So at issue here for the first witness that the government intends to call, that's one of the security guards at the Intercontinental Hotel in 2016. The 2 exhibits are 2 separate incidents reports. I have paper copies of those exhibits, if Your Honor would like to see them. Essentially, the first exhibit is an incident report that the security guard drafted and sent per hotel policy and practice, approximately 3 hours after the incident. The report includes the guard's, a recounting of his personal observations and interactions with the defendant and victim 1. This particular report includes photos that we've taken of the hotel lobby that shows the broken vase and the damage caused to the lobby, a recounting of his personal observations and interactions with the defendant and victim 1. This particular report includes photos that were taken of the hotel lobby that showed the broken vase and the damage caused to the lobby. This first report was drafted and sent by the guard before we had reviewed the video surveillance. So the second incident report that the government intends to offer is exactly the same as the first, but includes an addendum that describes the video surveillance that he reviewed after the incident. So this guard will testify that drafting and sending incident reports like these were part of his responsibility as a hotel security at the Intercontinental Hotel, and that he drafted and sent incident reports like these in the normal course of his duties. As I mentioned, both incident reports were sent immediately after the incident in question. So the government obtained these incident reports along with other documents from the parent corporation of the hotel, along with the business record certification also produced by the parent corporation. And these circumstances, the government position is that these incident reports are admissible under the business record exception to hearsay. That's 8036. And I'm happy to get further into why the government submits that the conditions laid out in 8036 are met here. The court. Well, that means you're going to have the witness prove it up, right? Ms. Slavik responds, of course. The witness will lay the foundation for entry of these documents as business records. The court responds, right. Right. You don't have the individual who executes the stipulation. You're not relying on that for the government, Ms. Slavik. That's right. The court says you're relying on what you have from the parent company. You have the, Ms. Slavik says, who drafted and sent the documents? Exactly. The court then directs a statement to Mr. Steele. So, Mr. Steele, what's the nature of the objection? Mr. Steele responds, Your Honor, the objection is threefold. First of all, on the exhibit 7R-14, Your Honor, there is an addendum, as the prosecutors just told you, that this is the speculation of the witness. He's watching. He's a security guard. He comes to the 6th floor of his hotel. He interacts with Cassie and Mr. Combs, and then he goes back down eventually to his office, and then he watches the video recordings that he had not seen before. Then he details his opinions about that recording that he does not have personal knowledge of, including that Mr. Combs attempted to take Cassie's phone away. I don't believe that he would know whose phone that is from watching that video. No personal knowledge. In addition to that, Your Honor, he has impressions in the body of both of the exhibits 141 and 148, such as in the second paragraph, Mr. Combs begged to offer me a bribe. That's a quote, Your Honor. That is his mental impression. I just don't want the document to go in. I understand he's a witness. We'll cross-examine him. I'm not objecting to that. I'm objecting to this document going into evidence. In addition to that, Your Honor, he talks about in the third full paragraph, that he did not want Mr. Combs to see Cassie. That is when Cassie is outside on the street level waiting on her car. And he talks about what he himself did not want, meaning that Mr. Combs was going to come back down off the 6th floor, which did not happen. And he talks about a coworker, Adey, Adey, who he went up to room 602 with Mr. Adey, and that Mr. Combs, he speculates, is about to start yelling. My point is, Your Honor, that I believe that all of that is speculation. It should not go in on either document. He also writes in the third paragraph that if Mr. Combs touches Miss Adey again, that the Los Angeles Police Department would escort Mr. Combs from the hotel property. There is no police there. There is no police called, and there is no discussion of police. So I don't believe that under 8036E that this document is trustworthy. It is not all based on personal knowledge. And under 403, there are parts of it that are prejudicial. And I don't believe that it should come in either document. The court interjects. All right. I think you anticipate my question. So your objection comes from under 8036E and 403, right? Mr. Steele responds, fair. The court responds, okay, I understand. So, Ms. Slavik, do you have the paper copies? Could you hand them up? I do, Your Honor. Ms. Slavik. The court then responds, so we'll pick this up after the lunch. Anything further, Mr. Steele? No, sir. All right. We are adjourned. We'll come back at 1:15. So there is a lunch. So when the court and everybody gets back from lunch, the judge basically makes a statement. And to not read this whole thing when they go back and forth on this, I'm really just going to read what the judge decided on. As it pertains to evidence with the first witness, which is the security guard by the name of Israel Florez, okay? And then we're going to get right into his testimony. We're going to have whatever video evidence is presented to the jury presented, and the jury can draw its own inferences and its own conclusions based on the review of the video. And so they proceed. So the jury comes back in and they proceed to call the first witness, which is, again, Israel Florez, the hotel security personnel. Is the government prepared to call its first witness? Ms. Slavik responds, Your Honor, before the government calls its first witness, the government moves to enter 4 stipulations agreed to between the parties that government exhibit 1301, 1302, 1303, and 1304. Any objections? No, Your Honor, responds Agnifilo. All right. With that, the government calls its first witness, Officer Israel Florez. All right. The witness may approach. Please remain standing for a moment and please raise your right hand. Israel Florez calls as a witness by the government, having been duly sworn, testified as follows. Ms. Slavik, you may proceed. Direct examination by Ms. Slavik. Good afternoon, Officer Florez. Good afternoon. Could you please state and spell your name for the record? Israel Florez, Israle, Florez, Florez. Officer Florez, are you currently employed? Yes, ma'am. What do you do? I'm a police officer for the Los Angeles Police Department. Is that commonly referred to as the LAPD? Yes, ma'am. How long have you been an LAPD officer? A little over 7 years. Approximately when did you start? 2018. Do you currently have any other jobs? Yes. What are those? I'm a reservist for the Army. How long have you been a reservist in the Army? A little over 15 years. And what did you do for work prior to joining the LAPD? I was a security guard. Did you work for a specific company? Yes, ma'am. What company was that? Securitas. What kind of company is Securitas? It's a high-rise security company, so they deal with high-rise buildings and hotels and stuff. And is it a contractor? Yes, ma'am. Approximately how long did you work for Securitas? 10 years. And did you work for Securitas in March of 2016? Yes, ma'am. What location were you working at in March of 2016? I was working for the Intercontinental Hotel in Century City. Where is Century City? It's a neighboring city next to Beverly Hills. Is that in the Los Angeles area? Yes, ma'am. Were you working there on March 5th, 2016? Yes, ma'am. Officer Florez, at a high level, can you explain to the jury what happened during your shift on March 5th, 2016? I was at the security base and I received a call from Instant Services saying that there was a woman in distress on the 6th floor. And did you respond to that call? Yes, ma'am. And what happened after you responded? After I responded, when I got out of the elevator, I observed a male and a female in the elevator lobby. Did you recognize the male and the female? Yes, ma'am. Who did you recognize them to be? Mr. Combs, Sean Combs. And sitting here today in the court, do you see Mr. Combs? Yes, ma'am. Can you identify him by describing a piece of clothing that he's wearing? I think he's wearing a gray sweater. Let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant. Now, Officer Florez, we'll come back to this incident that you've described at the high level involving Mr. Combs. But first, what was your title at Securitas in March 2016? I was the Assistant Director of Securities. How long did you hold that title? For about a little over a year. And what was your responsibility as the assistant of director of securities at the Intercontinental Hotel? Pretty much deal with the incidents that happen in the day in the hotel. Any trainings for new employees, assisted the director with like any new employee for the hotel that needed training for security purposes. I would assist with that. And so you were the assistant director, is that right? Yes, ma'am. Were you the assistant director who was the director of securities? The director was Bill Medrano. And after you, what was your next position after being assistant director of securities at the Intercontinental? I became the director at the Intercontinental as well? Yes, ma'am. And then did you become the director of securities at Intercontinental? I believe at the end or beginning of 2017, the end of 2016, beginning of 2017. What was your responsibility as the director of securities? Pretty much the same thing I just mentioned, but also now I would be facilitating the trainings for the whole hotel, and I attended a lot more meetings with the hotel staff and managers. How long were you director of securities? Like like a year or a little bit over? When did you leave Securitas? 2018. And why did you leave? I got hired on with Los Angeles Police Department. Officer Flores, I want to focus now on the Intercontinental Hotel in Century City. Miss Gavin, can you please publish for the witness, the court, and the parties government exhibits 2B-124 and -2B-125? Officer Flores, do you see the photos on the screen in front of you? Yes, ma'am. Do you recognize these photos? Yes, ma'am. What are they? Pictures of the Intercontinental Hotel. And how do you know that? It's a very unique hotel. It's like a pyramid shaped hotel in Century City. Are these photos fair and accurate depictions of the Intercontinental Hotel in Century City as it exists in March of 2016? Yes, ma'am. Your Honor, the government officers, government exhibits 2B-124 and 2B-125 into evidence. The court asks, any objection? No, Your Honor. Any objection? Mr. Steele responds, no, Your Honor. Those exhibits will be admitted, the court responds. Ms. Slavik continues her questioning. Ms. Slavik continues, Ms. Gavin, can you please publish these into exhibit for the jury? Officer Flores, can you explain to the jury what they're looking at in government exhibits 2B-124 and 2B-125? They're looking at the Intercontinental Hotel. And where is that located once again? In Century City. Miss Gavin, can you take this down? Now turning back to your role as a security officer at the Intercontinental Hotel, approximately how many other people worked as security officers at the Intercontinental in March 2016? About like 12? And how generally were those 12 or so officers staffed? It was pretty much 3 per shift, and we had 3 shifts. Can you describe what shifts there were? Yes. Morning, which was 6 to 2 p.m. Afternoon, afternoon 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. And nights, which was 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And you said that there were 3 officer staff each shift. Is that right? Yes, ma'am. Of those 3 officers, were any of them supervisors? Yes, ma'am. Now, generally speaking, were there security officers stationed during their shifts? So if there was all 3 of them working at on the shift, the supervisor would stay in the security base, and then the other 2 would be doing patrols, one inside and one outside. Now, you mentioned security base. Can you explain to the jury what the security base is? Just our security office. We used to just call it base for shorter or slang. Moving on to a slightly different topic. Did the Intercontinental Hotel have a video surveillance system in March 2016? Yes, ma'am. Can you describe that system? It had 3 systems. One covered the roof, and the other one, the interior of the hotel. And then the other system covered the parking lot. I want to focus on the video surveillance system that was on the interior of the hotel. Where generally were the cameras within that system? Obviously, every floor had a camera. Every floor had cameras. There would be one on the elevator lobby and then 2 on the hallway, one facing north, the other one facing south. And depending on the floor, there would be more cameras if there was more hallways, so more turns. But at least 3 cameras per floor. Yes, ma'am. Did the cameras run continuously? There were motion. So yes. So they ran continuously. Yes, ma'am. Did they record continuously? Only when there was motion on the cameras. They were motion activated. They were motion activated? Yes, ma'am. What, if any, responsibility does security staff have with respects to video surveillance? Just review cameras. That's pretty much it. Where, where could security staff review the video surveillance? So we had obviously our security base where they can. where we could review it, and supervisors and the director there was another room. It was like the main room, and that was pretty much to troubleshoot if we had to, and you could also review cameras there. So you specified 2 different rooms, is that right? Yes, ma'am. What had access to the security base? Every security officer. And you mentioned a main room. Is that the term you use? Yes, ma'am. Who had access to the main room? The supervisors and the directors of security. Did anyone else at the hotel monitor video surveillance? No, it was just us. If anybody needed to review footage, they would come to us. Now, did security staff have the ability to rewind video surveillance? Yeah, we were able to rewind, but it was only for like a good amount. It wasn't like so you couldn't rewind further back than a specific days. And if you did want to, then you would need a passcode or a passcode to do that. Do you have a passcode or a passcode to rewind farther from however many days? No, ma'am. Was it possible to download video surveillance? If you had the password, I'm sure you were able to. Who among the security staff had the ability to download video surveillance with a passcode? The director of security and the camera guy. Who's the camera guy? I don't remember his name. Was he a member of the security staff? No, he was like a third party company. Did you have the passcode to download or rewind video surveillance? When I became the director, I did, but not at that time. Not in March 2016? No, ma'am. So now you mentioned a moment ago that one of your responsibilities as security officer at the Intercontinental included responding to incidences. Do you remember that? Yes, ma'am. What exactly do you mean by responding to incidents? Pretty much any incident, like there's an altercation, trespass, any fights, we've had a couple of suicides there, so suicides, just like anything out of the ordinary. Did you have to document your response to incidences? Yes. How exactly did you document your response to incidents? So we would do our incident report where just pretty much an email sent out to all the department's heads. And did you have a name for these sorts of emails that you would send to the department heads? Yeah, just incident reports. What information were you required to include in an incident report? So the 5 W's and the how. The 5 W's? Yes, ma'am. Can you explain to the jury what the 5 W's are? Who, what, when, where, and why? What determined whether you filed an incident report or not? Anything that had to do with the hotel. So if there's like destruction of the hotel or anything specific or anything that specific department head needed to know, we would send those emails out. Did you include attachments to incident reports? Yes, ma'am. What sort of attachments? Just pictures. And where would the pictures come from when you attach them to incident reports? If we had a camera at our security office, so if we would use that camera, but if let's say they didn't charge it, we would use our phones and take pictures with our phones and then send it as an attachment. What determined whether you would attach a photo to an incident report or not? Like I said, anything that's like out of the ordinary. There's anything that was broken, anything that was damaged. That sorts of. Did you attach video surveillance to incident reports? No, ma'am. Why not? We didn't have the password and we didn't know how to do it. Did you otherwise reference video surveillance in incident reports? Yes, ma'am. How did you do that? So we had like a so we had the email that we send out, and then we had a book which was like our pass down book, and anybody that was like coming into the shift, we would pretty much let them know what happened, like a brief summary of what happened in that, and we would just tell them like we see email, and then they would know to go to the out to the sent emails, and that's how they would get it. And when you reference video surveillance in these email incident reports, what did you include? The timestamps of the video and the location of the video. The location of the video? Yes, ma'am. What do you mean by that? So if it was like if it happened on the 7th floor, we would put the 7th floor camera, north camera, or lobby camera. What did you who did you send incident reports to? I would send it to my director. I would send it to the committee for the hotel, which was all the department heads. And if it had to do with like specific managers, like for the housekeeping, they didn't have an actual department head. They had a manager. So we would send the email to the manager. Was drafting and sending incident reports something you did regularly when you worked at Intercontinental Hotel? Yes, ma'am. Officer Flores, were you required to alert police about incidents? Yes. Under what circumstances? Depending, like I said, if there was like an altercation and let's say there was a fight and there's like more than if it was only 3 of us and it was more than 3, then we would call the police so they can assist us. If there was someone trespassing that they didn't want to leave, let's say that they were naked and we couldn't get them out, then they would call the police. The suicide, we would call the police. If there's anything, if there's like a fight and one of them wanted to press charges, then we'll detain them, call the police so they can assist us. Generally speaking, Officer Flores, after you send an incident report, what would happen? So after we sent the incident report, it was pretty much like completely out of our hands. We're just observing and reporting. So anything that happened, we'd send it to them. And then if they needed to follow up, they would ask questions or would come to the off they would come to the officer and they would review footage with us. But that's pretty much it. I want to go back to March 5th, 2016. You said you were working that day. Yes, ma'am. What was your shift? The morning shift, which is 6 to 2 p.m. 6 a.m. to 2 p.m.? Yes, ma'am. Do you remember what else? Do you remember who else was working with you that day? Henry Elias? And I don't remember the other. There was two guards though. 2 other officers? Yes, ma'am. Now you describe an incident that took place that day, just a moment ago. Do you remember that? Yes, ma'am. Approximately what time did the incident take place? Around 11 a.m. How were you made aware of the incident? I received a call from instant services and pretty much letting me know that there was a woman in distress on the 6th floor. Where were you when you got this call? I was in the security base. And you said you got this call from instant services? Yes, ma'am. What is instant services? So the hotel has like each floor has a phone. So if you pick it up, it goes directly to them. And it's pretty much you don't have to dial anything. You just pick up the phone and it goes to instant services. And she pretty much directs the calls. So if you need like housekeeping or if you need security, she'll direct the call. And what information was provided to you by instant services? That the only thing she said was there was a woman in distress on the 6th floor. Did you respond to the call? Yes, ma'am. What, if anything, did you do before responding to the call? I closed down the security base. I checked the cameras to see what was going on because I didn't want to walk into a situation where I was, unprepared. I looked at the cameras and I seen a male black, just pacing back and forth on the 6th floor. Were you looking at the cameras on the 6th floor in real time? Yes, ma'am. And did you recognize the man pacing back and forth at that time? No, ma'am. Did you rewind the video surveillance to see what had happened? No, ma'am. Why not? I got the call saying that there was a woman in distress. I looked at the camera and I see a man walking back and forth. There was no woman in the video, so I'm thinking something happened because I didn't see a female in the footage. So I wanted to get there as fast as possible to make sure that nothing was going on. Who, if any, did you notify of this call at the time that you responded? So when I closed down the security base, as I was going running to the elevator, I had my radio, so I radioed both my guys to respond back to the security base just to stand by further. What did you do next? I got on the elevator, went to the 6th floor, I got off, and then that's when I seen both the individuals. So what happened when you arrived on the 6th floor? I seen Mr. Combs in a towel and some like colored socks sitting down in my further away from me on my right side, and then I seen Miss Cassie in the corner, kind of like covering her face and bundled up in the corner. Did you recognize either of these parties at this point? Just Mr. Combs. How did you recognize Mr. Combs? He's a rapper, a producer. Miss Miss Gavin, can you please publish for the witness, the court, and the parties only governments exhibits 2A-101 and 2A-401? Officer Flores, do you recognize these photos? Yes, ma'am. What are they? A picture of Mr. Combs and Miss Cassie. And how do you know these individuals? They were the ones involved in that incident. Are they fair and accurate depictions of the individuals that you encountered in the elevator lobby of the Intercontinental Hotel in March 2016? Yes, ma'am. The government offers exhibits 2A-101 and 2A-401 into evidence. Court. Court asks, any objection? Mr. Steele responds, no, Your Honor. These exhibits will be admitted. Miss Gavin, can you please publish these exhibits for the jury? Officer Flores, can you please identify the individuals in these photos to the jury? To my left is Mr. Combs, and to my right is Miss Cassie. And the individual on the left in the government exhibit 2A-104, is that the same person as the individual that you've identified as Mr. Combs just moments ago? Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Ms. Gavin, could you please take those down? Now, Officer Flores, you said that you recognized Mr. Combs immediately. Is that right? Yes, ma'am. Did you recognize the female immediately? No, ma'am. Did you come to understand the identity of the female? Yes, ma'am. How? Later on in the day when I got home, I went home to tell my wife at the time that what had happened. And she's the one that brought it up like, oh, I think she's objection. Hearsay? Objection, hearsay. Mr. Steele objects. The court interjects. Get a fresh question. I'm sorry, Ms. Slavik says. Can you rephrase your question? Officer Flores, did you come to understand the identities of the female who was there in the elevator lobby? Yes. Who did you come to understand her to be? Miss Cassie. Can you describe Mr. Combs' demeanor when you got off the elevator? Yeah, it was. So he was on the chair, slouched down, and he was like at a blank stare. And yeah, as soon as I walked out, it was the best way I can describe it. It's like a devilish stare. He was just like looking at me. So when I got out of the elevator, I kind of was stuck because I'm looking at him. He's looking at me with like no movement. And then he starts to move. What was he wearing? Just the towel and the socks. Now, you said you didn't recognize the woman at the time. Did you hear Mr. Combs refer to the woman? Yes. How did he refer to her? Miss Cece or Cece. And this is the woman that you came to understand was Cassie? Yes. What was the woman's demeanor? Scared. Can you describe what you mean by that? Well, she was in the corner. She had her hoodie on. She was pretty much just covered up and I couldn't see her face. And she was just, just pretty much in the corner. What, if anything, did you notice about the state of the elevator? So every floor had a flower vase and it was destroyed pretty much on the floor. Did you speak to the two individuals? I did. Who did you address first? Mr. Combs. What did you say? I advised him, obviously, like, first, I was like, hey, what's going on? Obviously, they were arguing. So I told them, hey, like, hey, if you guys are going to argue, you guys have to take it back to your rooms. And then I told them I I told them the mess that was there, it was going to be charged to the room. Did you address the woman? Eventually, just talk to if she's going to be arguing pretty much to go back to the room. What did she say? She just said that she wanted her phone and her bag and she wanted to leave. What did you do next? After talking to them, I pretty much started escorting them both back to the room. And did Mr. Combs interact with the woman after you started to escort them back to the room? So I know they were arguing. I don't remember exactly what they were saying, but as I was escorting them, she left the opposite way and we were walking towards the room. And then eventually he tried to like re engage. And I was just pretty much reminding him, like, hey, there are other guests in the hotel, just out of respect for them. Let's go back to the room. What did Mr. Combs say to Cassie as he was trying to re engage with her? I don't remember. Do you remember Cassie saying anything as she was walking back to the room? Yeah. She was just saying that she just wanted to get her phone and her bag and she wanted to leave. And what did Mr. Combs say in response to that? He did tell her at one point that he said, "You're not going to leave." And what did you say? I told him, like, well, if she wants to leave, she's going to leave. And that was pretty much it. Do you follow them to their room? Yes, ma'am. Who enters the room? Mr. Combs. Did anyone else enter the room with Mr. Combs? Yes. She finally did, Miss Cassie. Did the door close behind them? No, ma'am. Why did it not close? I put my foot between the door. And again, she just wanted to leave. He said that he had mentioned, I don't want her to leave. Well, I don't want you to leave. So I knew if I let the door close, something can happen. So I put my body in between the door before he closed it and watch her get her stuff. Did you actually enter the room? Half of my body was at the door. The other half was outside the door. Were you able to see inside the room? Yeah, the majority of the room I was able to see. Now you said that both Mr. Combs and Cassie entered the room. Is that right? Yes, ma'am. Besides Mr. Combs and Cassie, was anyone else in the room? Yes, ma'am. Who? It's a black male wearing dark clothing. He was sitting at the corner of the bed. Did you recognize this man? No, ma'am. Was he clothed? Yes. And what was he doing? Nothing. Can you describe his appearance? He was fully clothed, like male black. He wasn't engaging in any conversation with either of them. He was just sitting in the corner of the bed. Was he present in the room when Mr. Combs and Cassie entered? Yes, ma'am. Officer Florez, approximately how long did you stand at the door to the room? A couple of minutes. Did Mr. Combs say anything else to Cassie? So they were going back and forth first. She was like, you can't leave. Then he was telling her to leave. So it was just back and forth between both of them. Did Cassie ultimately leave the room? Yes, ma'am. Which way did she go? Back the same way to the elevator lobby. And where was Mr. Combs when Cassie left the room? In the room. What, if anything, did Mr. Combs do after Cassie left? So after she left, I told him, like, hey, stay in the room. Again, everything is going to be charged to your room. As I started walking away, he called for me. He said, hey, I turned around and he was pretty much holding like a stack of money, pretty much. I don't know. That's the best way I can do it. And he was pretty much telling me, like, hey, take hey, take of this. Don't tell anybody, pretty much. What did you understand him to mean when he said, don't tell anyone? A bribe. A bribe to do what? Not to tell anyone? How far away from you was Mr. Combs when he offered you the money? About 3 or 4 feet. Can you describe approximately how much cash he offered you? I don't. It was just like $100 bills on the top, and then the rest were just, it was just a stack of money. And going back to something you said earlier, you said that initially Mr. Combs said that you can't leave, and then he eventually said leave. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Back to the cash that Mr. Combs offered you. You said that it was a stack. Yes, ma'am. Approximately, can you show the jury what you mean with your hands? I don't know. If you extend your thumbs to your pinky, how did you respond to Mr. Combs' offer? I told him I don't want your money. Just go back into your room. Everything is going to be charged to the room and stay in your room. And I left. Did you take the money? No, ma'am. Were there any video surveillance cameras focused on Mr. Combs' room? No, ma'am. Officer Florez, where did you go, Officer Florez, after Mr. Combs tried to hand you this stack of money? I tried catching up to Miss Cassie. Did Mr. Combs follow? No. Where did Cassie go? She went down to the valet area. Where is the valet area? Right in front of the hotel lobby, right outside, pretty much. Outside the hotel? Yes, ma'am. What did you do when you and Cassie were in the valet area? So when I noticed her, she was in the valet area and I still didn't know what had happened. What had happened? The only thing I saw was the broken vase. So I went up to so I went up to her. So where the cars pass, there was a it's a sidewalk. So it's a step down. She was on the corner of the edge of it. So I stepped down and I got in front of her, pretty much directly in front of her. And then I was pretty much looking up at her. So then as I started asking her questions, what happened? Are you okay? And then I noticed that she had a purple eye. And then I asked her, like, did he do that? Do you want to call the cops? And all she kept saying is that I just want to leave. Why did you offer to call the cops? I mean, if anybody is going to, one, if there's an altercation, I'm still going to be like, hey, do you want me to call the cops? And then as a female getting hit, I'm obviously going to ask her if she wants to call the cops. I do understand, that they get scared and they don't want to do anything. So you kind of try to like comfort them and allow them to be like, to feel safe. So I asked her if she wanted me to call the cops, and she just kept saying she wanted to leave. Now, to be clear, Officer Flores, at this point, had you seen an altercation? No, ma'am. And at this point, had you reviewed any of the video surveillance? No, ma'am. Did Cassie eventually leave the hotel? Yes, ma'am. How? Excuse me. So after speaking to her, I was trying to get some information. So I walked inside to go get a day, who is a front desk manager. As I was coming back, there was a car that had pulled up and she left in that black SUV. Did she drive herself in that black SUV? No, ma'am. Did she have a driver? Yes. Did you interact with the driver? I did before I went inside. Can you describe the driver? About 7 feet, pretty big guy, male, black. Did you speak with him? Just briefly because he interrupted my conversation with her. And can you describe the interaction? So again, I was talking to her, trying to get her to see if she needed me to call the police, to call the cops. And he said, hey, she wants to leave. And I looked at him and I said, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to her. So I continued talking to her. And she said, no, I just want to leave. And I said, hold on, I'll be back. And that's when I left. And you had said that you were trying to get some information from her. Is that right? Yes, ma'am. What sort of information? Her name, phone number, just in case the hotel wanted to reach out for anything in the future. At this point, did you know who she was? No. After Cassie left, Officer Florez, what did you do next? So after she left, obviously I had already gotten a day who is a front desk manager. And he said, all right, well, let's go talk to Mr. Combs so we can advise him of the hotel rules. So we went up to his room. And what was the purpose of speaking with Mr. Combs? So from what a day had told me is it had happened. Mr. Steele responds, hearsay. The court. Ms. Slavik, maybe you re-ask the question, and if the witness can just listen to the question and then answer. Officer Florez, you said that you and a day went up to Mr. Combs' room. Yes, ma'am. Why did you go up to Mr. Combs' room? So we can remind him of the hotel rules. Did you make it to his room? Yes, ma'am. Did Mr. Combs come to the door? Yes, ma'am. What was his demeanor as he came to the door? He opens the door, he closed the door behind him, and immediately he pretty much grabbed a day's phone. Can you explain how that came to me? How that came to be? Why he grabbed the phone? So a day he talks with his hands and he talks. He's pretty much holding his phone. So while he was talking to Mr. Combs, he was doing this. And obviously, Mr. Combs thought he was being recorded. So he grabbed his phone and he pretty much saying, like, well, he said, are you recording me? And he grabbed the phone. And as he did that, then I pretty much pinned him to the wall and told him to let go of a day's phone. How did Mr. Combs respond to you pinning him to the wall? I told him to let go. And he eventually did because a day was like, I'll show you my number. I'll show you my phone. So then a day, was just trying to de-escalate the situation pretty much. He pretty much opened his phone and said, I'm not recording you. And he showed everything. So kind of de-escalated the situation. What happened next? Just told him the same thing I had told him. Like everything that happened in the lobby is going to be charged to your room. So he reminded him that it was checkout, so he needed to check out by 3 p.m. Now, you said that you had seen another man in the hotel room when you first responded to the incident. Is that right? Yes, ma'am. During this interaction involving Mr. Combs in a day, did you see that man in the room? Did you see that man in the room again? No, ma'am. Why not? The door was closed behind him. Did you leave Mr. Combs' room after this interaction? Yes, ma'am. Did you do anything else before leaving the 6th floor? Yeah. We went to the elevator lobby, and I don't remember if it was me or a day, but one of us took pictures of the lobby. Why? It was property damage, and obviously there was broken stuff, so we needed to, one, attach it to the email that I was eventually going to send, and two, so we can send to the housekeeper so she can tell the house men to clean it up. Where did you go next, Officer Florez? We went down to the lobby. I just told him that I would send the email as soon as I can, and I went back to security office. You went back to the security office? Yes, ma'am. And what did you do when you returned to the security office? I started writing the email of what had happened, the email incident report. Yes. Can you just remind the jury what an incident report is? Just anything that happened in the incident. So the who, the what, the when, the where, and the why. Ms. Gavin, can you please publish for the witness, the court, and the parties only the first 2 pages of government's exhibit 7R-141? Mr. Flores, Officer Flores, you recognize the document on the screen in front of you? Yes, ma'am. What is it? It's the incident report that I sent out. How do you know? My name is on it, and hotel security email is on top. Did you draft this incident report at or near the time of the actual incident on March 5th, 2016? Yes, ma'am. Did you draft and send incident reports like this in the course of your duties as a security officer at Intercontinental Hotel? Yes, ma'am. Was drafting and sending reports on a regular practice when you were a security officer at the Intercontinental? Yes, ma'am. The government offers exhibits 7R-141 into evidence. Court response, all right. 7R-141 will be admitted. Mr. Steele responds, same objection. Noted. Thank you. Ms. Gavin, can you publish these exhibits for the jury, please? Officer Flores, can you explain to the jury what they're looking at here? The incident report. And did you draft and send this document? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Gavin, can you zoom in on the top portion of the email? Officer Flores, do you see the from line? Yes, ma'am. And what email address is that? That's the security office email. And was this email sent to you? A day who was the front desk assistant manager, Bill Medrano, who was my director, and the hotel committee, which is all the department heads of the hotel, and Sandy, who was the housekeeping manager. What is the subject of the email? It says pics from the sixth floor. From the sixth floor. And what about the time and the date and the time that the email was sent? March 5th to 2016 at 3 p.m. Now, you testified earlier that you responded to the incident around 11 a.m. that day. Is that right? Yes, ma'am. Is the date and time of this email consistent with your recollection of when you sent the incident report? Yes, ma'am. You can zoom out, Miss Gavin. Thank you. Now, Officer Flores, without going line by line, can you just give an overview of what's in the body of this incident report? It's pretty much the incident from start to finish, the date, time when I received the call, and just the incident of me interacting with both the individuals. Did you include the individual names in the incident report? Yes, ma'am. Now, you mentioned that you had seen another man in the hotel room. Did you include that fact in the incident report? No, ma'am. Why not? He was irrelevant. When I got there, wasn't at the incident. When you got into the room, he didn't talk to nobody. So he was just someone that was just there. So when you say when you got there, he wasn't part of the incident, you mean when you got to the elevator lobby, he wasn't there? Correct. Ms. Gavin, can you put up pages 3 and 4 of this document side by side? Officer Flores, what is depicted in these photos here? The broken or the damage that was in the sixth floor. Who took these photos? Like I said, it was either me or a day that took them. Do these photos fairly accurately depict the conditions of the sixth floor elevator when you respond to the incident? Yes, ma'am. And what was the purpose of attaching these photos to the incident report? Again, it was kind of to let them know what had happened, the damage. And it also so that the housekeeping manager can see what she needed to do and send the housemen and what the housemen needed to take to clean that the damage. Miss Gavin, can you put up pages 5 and 6 of this document side by side? Officer Flores, what is depicted in these photos here? That's dirt splatter on the wall, and then that's the flowers that were in the corner. Do these photos accurately depict the wall area of the sixth floor lobby when you responded to the incident? Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Miss Gavin. You can take those down. Now, Officer Flores, after you sent the incident report that you just looked at, who, if anyone, contacted you? The only one that contacted me was my director. And remind the jury, who is that? Bill Medrano. What, if anything, did Mr. Medrano tell you to do? Obviously, we had to review the email, and all he told me was to objection, hearsay. Mr. Steele objected, and it's hearsay. Judge says overruled. You can answer. He told me to review the footage and then add anything else that I observe on the footage to the email. On the video surveillance footage? Yes, ma'am. So, did you review the video surveillance footage? Yes, ma'am. When did you review the video footage? Almost simultaneously, like when we were talking on the phone, I started reviewing, and then I was pretty much telling him that I was seeing, and then that's when he said, okay, add that to the email. And why did you review the video surveillance? Same thing. He had told me to review it, make sure that there was nothing else that we missed on the first email. Your Honor, may I have permission to approach the witness? You may. Officer Flores, I've put a drive in front of you. Do you recognize this thumb drive? Yes, ma'am. How do you recognize it? It's the drive that's about 5 videos. Do you review the context of the videos? Yes, ma'am. When? Yesterday. And did you initial the tag attached to the drive after you reviewed it? Yes, ma'am. Did you see your initials on that tag right there? Yes, ma'am. And again, what is on this drive? It's 2 cell phones, videos that I took, and 3 other camera footages. Are you in certain of these videos? Yes, ma'am. Do the contents of the drive fairly and accurately depict what you saw on March 5th, 2016? Yes, ma'am. Is that true of each file on the drive? Yes, ma'am. Your Honor, the government offers into the evidence the contents of this drive. That's Government's Exhibit 3B-101, 3B-102, and 10C-103, 10C-104, and 10C-105. Are there any objections that the court has not previously addressed? Mr. Steele responds, no. All right, these exhibits will be admitted. Now, we're going to play this video, Officer Flores, but before we play it, can you just describe to the jury what we're looking at on the screen? That's the 6th floor elevator lobby. And do you see the timestamp on the top of the video? Yes, ma'am. What do they say? It says March 5th, 2016, 11:10 a.m. And is that generally consistent with your recollection of when this incident took place? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Gavin, could you please play the video all the way through, and then we'll go back and walk through specific segments. Mr. Flores, I want to walk through this video segment by segment. But first, did the video surveillance at the Intercontinental have audio? No, ma'am. Ms. Gavin, could you please restart and play the video through 29 seconds? Officer Flores, who is this? Miss Cassie. Video played. Do you notice the pixelation in this video? Yes, ma'am. Was that typical of video surveillance systems used at the Intercontinental in March of 2016? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Gavin, please play through 31 seconds. Who is this individual, Officer Flores? That's Mr. Combs. Ms. Gavin, please continue to play through 56 seconds. Officer Flores, have you seen this video before you responded to the incident on the 6th floor? No, ma'am. Ms. Gavin, please play through 1 minute and 16 seconds. What is happening here, Officer Flores? She picked up the phone, so it pretty much went straight to instant services. This is the phone that connected to instant services that you described earlier? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Gavin, could you continue playing through 1 minute and 26, please? Now, Officer Flores, did you notice how the video kind of jumped right there? Yes, ma'am. Was that typical of video surveillance systems as well? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Gavin, continue playing through 2 minutes and 14. Now, first, Officer Flores, can you remind the jury of what Cassie said she was heading back to the room? She just wanted to get her phone in her bag and wanted to leave. And can you remind the jury of what you found when you arrived at the elevator lobby? The broken vase and the flowers? The broken vase and the flowers and these were depicted in the photos that we just looked at. Yes, ma'am. Ms. Gavin, can you play the video to the end? Now, Officer Flores, what do you see here at the very end of the video? It's me coming out of the elevator, the lobby. That's you? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Gavin, could you please publish that in evidence as government exhibits 10C-104? Now, Officer Flores, before we start playing this video, can you explain to the jury what we're looking at here? We're looking at the north hallway of the 6th floor. So where in relation to this? To the video that we see on the screen is the elevator lobby that we saw in the previous video. To the right. Those doors to the right? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Gavin, could you please start at 3 minutes and 19 seconds and play 3:24? Who do you see in that little clip that we just played, Officer Flores. Miss Cassie going south on the hallway, and me going back to the lobby. Miss Gavin, I want you to continue playing through 7 minutes and 7 seconds. Officer Flores, I'm going to ask you some questions as the video plays. Now, who is in this frame? Myself and Mr. Combs. And what was happening here? Pretty much just escorting him back to his room. What, if anything, was Mr. Combs saying at this time? I don't remember, but I'm sure I was just telling him, like, we got to go back to your room. Now, here around this 4 minutes and 48-second timestamp, what's happening here? Miss Cassie's coming back north on the hallway. And what, if anything, was Mr. Combs saying to Cassie? Pretty much started to argue again. I'm trying to de-escalate, telling him to go back to his room. Here at 5 minutes and 22 timestamp, what is happening here? That's when she's saying that she wants to get her cell phone and her bags, and she wanted to leave. And she's headed towards the room. Yes, ma'am. This is around the 5:51 timestamp. Who is this? It's a houseman that's in charge of that floor. Was he involved in the incident at all? No, ma'am. And that is around the 6 minute and 17 timestamp. Who is in the frame? That's Miss Cassie going back to the lobby elevator around the 6:38 timestamp. Who is this? That's me. Where were you going? Going to catch to Miss Cassie. Why did you go to this hall? So what I was checking was the stairwell that leads to the bottom floor. And I did see her in the lobby. So either she had gotten in or she was probably went through the stairs. So I was checking to see if I could hear her going down the stairs. So you were just checking for Cassie? Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Miss Gavin. Can you take this down? Now, Officer Flores, had you reviewed this video surveillance before you sent the incident report? No, ma'am. After viewing the video surveillance, did you call the police? No. Why not? After speaking to her, she didn't respond to any of my questions. She was just saying I want to leave. I just want to leave. And even when I offered her, like, hey, the cops can go to the back of the building, nobody's going to see, she just kept saying, I just want to leave. And there was no victim there. Obviously, nobody was pressing charges. And then by the time I did draft up the email, everybody was gone because Mr. Combs had already left. At that point, did you know who Cassie was at that point? No. Did you have any of her contact information? No. Now, can we pull the incident report 7R-141, please, Ms. Gavin? Can you highlight the third paragraph? Officer Flores, you just said that at that point you drafted and sent the incident report. Mr. Combs had already left the hotel. Is that right? Yes, ma'am. Can you remind the jury what the manager told Mr. Combs when you were at the Mr. Combs hotel door? Pretty much the same thing. That everything that had happened in the elevator lobby was going to be charged to the room, and that reminded him that checkout was coming up, so he needed to check out and leave. And focusing on one of the, I guess, third to the last sentence, starting with he saw Mod, M-O-D, a day holding his phone. Ms. Gavin, can you just highlight that sentence? Officer Flores, can you read beginning at no one was recording? No one was recording him. That the safety and the privacy of the guests is important to the hotel. And if he tried to do something like that, he would get kicked out and escorted off the property by LAPD. That's the Los Angeles Police Department? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Gavin, you can take that down. And you said that Mr. Combs did eventually leave the hotel. Yes, ma'am. Now, going back to your review of the video surveillance, what, if anything, did you add to the incident report after you reviewed the video surveillance? Pretty much the whole altercation between him and her. You included a description of the altercation. Yes, ma'am. Did you attach the video to the supplement incident report? No, ma'am. Why not? I had no way of doing that. No password. I didn't know how to do that. Now, Officer Flores, what else, if anything, did you do with the video surveillance capturing this incident? Can you repeat that? I'm sorry. Did you do anything else with the video surveillance after you reviewed it? Oh, yeah. I recorded two, I guess. Two videos of the video. How did you record those two videos? My cell phone. What kind of phone did you have? An iPhone? Why did you record it with your iPhone? Again, I was going home, and if I would have told my wife, "Hey, this is what happened," she would have believed me. She wouldn't have believed me. So, here's a video. When did you make these cell phone recordings? When did you make these cell phone recordings? Right after, well, I was still at work that same day. Ms. Gavin, can you please publish what's in evidence, Government Exhibit 3B-102? Officer Flores, before we start this video, can you just explain what we're looking at? The 6th floor elevator lobby. And what video is this? This is mine. One of your cell phone videos? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Gavin, can you play the video? And Officer Flores, can you just talk us through what's happening? Actually, pause, please. Officer Flores, is there sound in this video? Background noise, yes. What do you mean by background noise? I was recording with my phone, so anything that was happening in the office, you'll be able to hear it. Thank you. Keep playing, Miss Gavin, please. What is happening here, Officer Flores? I'm pretty much explaining everything I'm seeing, and they had to go to the room. I'm telling them, like, obviously there's damage to the lobby, so that needs to get fixed, and it's going to be charged to the room. Who was that? That was me. Officer Flores, was the portion of the video that we just watched, was that portion captured on the videos that we just watched just a moment ago? No. Did you record any other portions of this incident? No. Just an altercation between them two and this one. Ms. Gavin, could you please publish Government Exhibit 3B-101, and could you start playing the video? Whose voice could you just hear? Officer Flores. That was Henry Elias, another security officer? Yes, ma'am. Now going back to 146, please, Ms. Gavin, and thank you. Officer Flores, what do you see towards the back of the video? What do you mean? Like in the back of the video, what do you see? I see Mr. Combs sitting down. And how is that reflected? Backwards, I guess? I don't know. In other words, can you explain the layout of the 6th floor lobby? Yeah, so he's obviously in the mirror. You can see that he's on the right side, but he's basically on the left. In other words, the image that you see of Mr. Combs sitting in the chair, that's him being reflected in the mirror. Yes, ma'am. Can you continue to play, Miss Gavin, through the end? Thank you. You can take that down, Miss Gavin. Officer Flores, did you record any other portions of the video surveillance of this incident? And no, ma'am. Did you download the video from the hotel computers? No, ma'am. Why not? Like I said, I didn't have no password, and I didn't know how to do that. Only the director knew how to do that. Besides these two videos that you recorded with your iPhone, do you have any other copies of the video surveillance? No, just the ones that I recorded. Now, you mentioned that you discussed the incident with your supervisor, Bill Medrano. Is that right? Yes. Who else at Securitas, if anyone, did you discuss the incident with? The incoming security guards, again, I had to give them a pass down. I explained to them what happened, showed them the video, just so they know what happened pretty much. And who specifically were those guards that you gave the pass down to? The afternoon supervisor and the incoming guard. Who were they? It was Eddie who was the afternoon supervisor, and then I can't remember the other guy's name. What is Eddie's last name? Garcia? What else, if anything, did you do to document the incident before you left that day? Just the email and the passed down book that I had stated earlier. Did you work the following day? No, ma'am. Why not? My days off were Sunday and Monday. When was the next day you returned to work? On Tuesday. Did you try to view the video surveillance footage when you returned to work? I did. One of the guards that wasn't there, I'm not sure if he was on vacation or something. He wasn't there. He comes up. Obviously, he gets there. He said, "Hey, I've been trying to see the video you've been talking about. I can't see it. I know where it's at, right?" So I go to the camera system and I try review it, but the camera is blue. So it was typical for those cameras to go off. So we didn't think anything of it. Like, it's gone pretty much. What did you do when the video wasn't available? I told him that I had taken a video of with my phone, and I showed him with my phone. Did you see the video surveillance footage again of after March 2016? Yes. Under what circumstances? On the news? And when was that you saw the video in the news? Last year? Like last year, May, something like that? Just a moment, Your Honor. Nothing further. Cross-examination happens by Mr. Steele. On March 5th, 2016, you were employed with this company for approximately 9 years. Is that fair to say? Yes. And you've written incident reports before. Is that true? Yes. And in the incident reports, you told the ladies and gentlemen of the jury it's the who, the why, the where, the when, the what in the incident report. Basically, every detail. Is that fair to say? Yes. And the reason that you do every detail is because, or significant detail is because it's important, because later other people who did not witness what you witnessed may want to review your notes. That's fair to say. Yes. The hotel staff. Yes. It also helps you memorialize for your memory what was significant during that time. True? Yeah. So we don't have to rely on your memory. It's now 2025. So we're approximately 9 years after March 5th, 2016, right? Yes. So that incident report that is marked and admitted into evidence that the jury saw, that is a good rendition by you, best of your ability at that time, fair to say? I remember everything in detail. Yes. And that is why you make it promptly. You made it during or right after you shift that day, right? Yes. That's why you send it out to all these other people. So you can get feedback if anything is missing, like you did in this case. True? Yes. You get to review it, right? You read it over before you send out the email. Yes. And this is not something that is unique. It's part of your training, your experience, and what you do in that position. Yes. Now, I would like to ask you a couple of questions about that report, that incident report that you did. Just you explain if you don't mind. You mentioned that when you get off the elevator, the first time you get off the elevator, approximately 11:15 a.m. Pacific time that day. Okay, you describe Mr. Combs as having a scary look in his face. Do you remember saying that to the jury? Yes. If you need to review it, where in your report, that incident report, do you ever describe Mr. Combs like that? It's not, it's, that's my opinion. So it had nothing to do with the incident. Okay. That has nothing to do with the incident that happened that day. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, with the incident. Is that is just your opinion now? Correct. No, it was my opinion then and now. But you didn't put that in the report. Again, it was just my opinion. Answer my question if you don't mind. It's not in the report, true? No. And when you get off the elevator, you have something in your hand. Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what that is? My radio. Tell us who the radio communicates with, if you don't mind. The security's office. Before you even went to the 6th floor, the reasons that you called your coworkers to come closer, come off the outside perimeter and come off the other interior of the building and come to the base. True? Yes. And you did that because you really don't know what you're getting into and you may need assistance. Is that fair to say? Yes. And they may need assistance whereby you say you even have to call outside assistance like the Los Angeles Police Department or the LAPD. True? Correct. So they're in the base. You have your walkie-talkie, excuse me, your radio. And you never called the assistant, right? No. Mr. Combs did not attack you. No. True? Yeah. He was cordial to you. That's my word. But you describe it any way you want. Yeah. He was cooperative, right? Yeah. And when you see it, and everyone saw it on the video, he's actually, when you first come, he's sitting in a chair. Fair to say? Yeah. And we see him reserve, like you said, because it's through a mirror. So everything is transposed. True? Yeah. And he doesn't make any aggressive movements towards you. True. You don't see him make any aggressive movements towards the lady, do you? No. Now, you say that the young lady, Cassie, has a purple eye. Do you remember telling the jurors that? Yes. Tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury where in your report, if you need to see it, it's no problem. You wrote that she had any type of discoloration to her eye. Um, I don't recall it on my report. Do you need to see it? Sure. Your Honor, with the court's permission, it's already in the evidence. Over objection 7R-141, if you can just scan this, take as much time as you need. If you need it blown up, just please tell the gentleman and he'll do it. Point to the jurors where you say that Cassie has a purple eye. It doesn't. I could not hear you. I apologize. It doesn't. It does not? No, not on this email. Now that would be significant, wouldn't it? Yeah. Because you have to know if somebody gets injured on your property, that's important not only for you, but your coworkers to know. True? True. There could be civil lawsuits, right? Yes. Law enforcement could get involved, right? Yeah. Now, in this particular case, just to make it clear, just please make it clear. Was there any law enforcement involvement in this case from your knowledge? No, we didn't call them. Did anybody? When you say we didn't call them, did anybody, to your knowledge, alerted law enforcement to come out and investigate this case at that time? No, sir. You took the time to video to show your wife. Do you remember? Yeah. You explained that to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. And you, in fact, kept the video, right? Correct. And people were talking about this even after your day off? Come back? Another officer said, "Hey, would you do me a favor and take your time and show me the video? Remember looking at it and it self-erased, you thought?" Yes. You then showed your other coworkers your video on your cell phone, right? Yes. And never during any of that time, to your knowledge, was law enforcement called. True? Correct. Okay. And when you talk about Mr. Combs, I think you told the ladies and gentlemen of the jury saying that Cassie wanted to leave the hotel and he said, "You're not leaving," or something to that effect. Do you remember that? Yes, sir. Okay. So, with the court's permission, it's already in evidence over objection 7R-14. If that can be shown to you, if you need to see it. Tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury if you put that in your report. I'm sorry. What was the question? where in your report, or if it is in your report, I'll ask first, did you ever say that that Cassie said, I'm leaving the hotel, and Mr. Combs said something to the effect of, you're not leaving? I don't believe it's in the report. In fact, the opposite is in your report, isn't it? What part? Mr. Combs, it's the second paragraph. If you need to see it, fifth line. Mr. Combs, we walked over. It's in the center of the fifth line. We walked over to his room, 602, meaning Mr. Combs' room, right? Yes. And when he went inside, it says that Miss Cece was told to leave by Mr. Combs. So she did just that. Did you see that? Yes. So tell me, you can look at everything. Where in here did you ever write what you told the jurors today? The significant fact that Mr. Combs told Cassie that she could not leave that hotel. At that point, I didn't believe it was a significant fact because they are just going back and forth. So I'm not going to put something like he told her off. I'm not going to say that. He said to leave eventually, and she left. So you wrote down what you just said, that Mr. Combs told Cassie to leave. Yeah. And she left. But you didn't write down that Mr. Combs told her she could not leave. Yeah, because it's not important. That's him just telling her don't leave, and me telling him she's going to leave. And then he says you're going to leave, so of course I don't put he told her that she needs to leave. Officer, if it's not important, we're talking about 9 years later. Correct. You remember the unimportant details 9 years later, but it's not important enough. I remember most of the incident, sir. Let me just finish the question. All right. It's not important enough to write in the report that you're sworn to do at the time to put in all of the important information. Yet you remember to this day, that's what you're telling the jury. Objection. Ms. Slavik objects. Court intervenes and says it's overruled. I wasn't sworn to do it. It's observing reports, sir. So whatever, as a security guard, whatever I put in the report, that's pretty much what it is. With regard to the bribe, you remember telling the jurors that Mr. Combs held you a stack of money. You notice 100 bills, and you're fair. You say you don't know what the other bills were, correct? They could have been dollar bills, I guess is what you're saying. Correct. But you took that as a bribe, right? What do you mean I took that as a bribe? What he was offering? Well, I was just using your words. Maybe I misheard you. Yeah. On direct examination with the prosecutor, you used the word it was a bribe. 100%. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, that was at the room. Now, before going, that was at the room. Do you remember telling the jurors that? Outside the room? Yes. That you were already leaving just to set the stage. You were walking back towards the elevator hallway or elevator lobby. Correct. And you wanted to see if you could catch up to Cassie. Yes. She had already left? Yes. Mr. Combs was in his room? Yes. No incident, right? Correct. And when Mr. Combs says to you, I'm not saying shout, but gets your attention, holds up his hands the way you describe, holding the money, whatever amount of money it is, you took that. You said it was a bribe. I want to ask you a couple of questions, okay? Yeah, go ahead. When you first saw Mr. Combs and he's still sitting in that chair, when you're first off the elevator, you made it known. I guess it's obvious, but you made it known that Mr. Combs is going to have to pay for the damages. Yeah. And later you explained to Mr. Combs on the way down to the hallway, correct me if I'm wrong, that he's going to have to pay for that damage, right? Yes. And then when you get to his room, he has a stack of money and he holds it up to you, right? Correct. And you take that as a bribe? Yeah, that definitely. Okay. Now, with regards to Mr. Combs having money on him when you first see him in the chair, is it fair to say, to your knowledge, he's really in a towel and socks? Is that what it looked like? Yeah, that's what he was wearing. He didn't have any access to any money, to have money on him at that time. Correct. He couldn't give you any money. We don't take money. I'm not I'm not saying you would take it. He didn't offer you any money. Let me put it that way. When he was in the chair, he didn't have access to money, right? Correct. Okay. Now I want to talk to you about the gentleman who you say you saw in the bedroom or in the hotel room, okay? So you described to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury that there was a gentleman when you are walking down the hallway with Mr. Combs. Cassie's behind you and she needs her items. You said a bag, right? Yeah. A cell phone, and a bag. Fair. Yes, sir. Mr. Combs enters the room. There is no way to have this on video. And that's just the way it's set up. You see the hallway, but you don't see the entrance to the room, right? Correct. And you describe it that Cassie is in the room with Mr. Combs and you wanted to observe them. That was just part of your job, fair? Correct. And that is when you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury that there is another third party, right? Yes. Okay. I would like you to explain why in your incident report that is not there, if there is any more explanation than what you said on direct. No, same thing. No, same thing. It was irrelevant. He didn't engage with nobody and he wasn't at the lobby as well. But again, you just remember that 9 years later? Yeah, nobody would remember an extra person sitting in the corner of a bed not doing anything. Why? Because this is an altercation going on. And then there is just someone just sitting there that's probably something that I would remember. Do you think it would be important at that time to ask that gentleman for his name? No. Why? Because he wasn't involved in their altercation or what they were arguing about. How do you know? Because he wasn't talking to nobody. Did you ever follow up on the video because there has to be the video of that gentleman leaving the room, right? Correct. Did you ever bother to use your cell phone and record that person was leaving the room? No. Did you ever talk to anybody that there was a third party in the room? Nope. Do you remember it today? I remember it. Yes. I want to talk with you about the 7-foot gentleman. Do you do you remember describing that to the jury? Yes. That's pretty tall, right? Yeah. That's something to remember, right? 100%. And this is somebody who's in a car, right? Outside of a car. Yes. And when you say outside of a car, describe what that means. He stepped out of the car, approached myself and Cassie, and then that's when he said that she wanted to leave. Okay, do you know who this person is? No, sir. Do you know if this person was a member of the family of Cassie or she knew him from another place? She didn't know him. How do you know that? Because of the interaction that they had when I was about to leave. Just the demeanor with each other? Yes. Okay, now you see the car pull up, right? Yes. And you see Cassie then leave with the gentleman, true? Yes. They were talking, and when they came back, they were gone. Yeah? Yeah, they were talking, and when they came back, they were gone. Yeah. I would like you to look at again what's been entered into evidence by the Honorable Court as 7R-141. It's in the third paragraph. It starts with, I took the elevator down. Do you see that? Yes. You saw Miss Cece, just for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Cece is the same person we're calling Cassie, right? Yes. All right. You advised her that you did not want him, that means Mr. Combs, to see her. So you walked over to the valet office until her ride got there, right? Correct. And you asked her that we would need some information from her to stand by. And then you walked over to Emma Maud Aday's office. Do you see that? Yeah. Okay. Do you ever write anything in your report at any time that there was this conversation about the 7-foot person saying she's leaving or anything like that? No. Do you write anything in there? You told the ladies and gentlemen of the jury that you told Cassie, hey, you could come with me and nobody will see. We'll go to the other office and no one will see the law enforcement. Nope. That's not in there either. Is it? No, sir. Do you, but you remember all that today. 100%. Isn't it important you tell your coworkers and for your memory that you offered to call law enforcement and the guests refuse? Um, I guess it goes either way because if she refused, I mean, there that's where it ends. I don't have to tell anybody. Obviously, I'm the supervisor. I'm the assistant director right now. So if I'm the one that is doing it, then I don't need to tell my guys. That's that's what I did. If they did it, then they would have told me, "Hey sir, this is what we did. We offered this." They said no. But you're second in command by that time? Correct. You're not in command? Nope. Second of all, isn't it important to show that you, as a representative of the hotel, offered to have the patron who you say had a purple eye? You're encouraging the police to come. You've encouraged the person to call the police. You're encouraging the person to wait with you. Wouldn't that all be important to put into your incident report? No, because I already had talked to a day when I went to get him. I told him exactly what had happened. So I was in conversation with all of them. I didn't need to write it in the email. Like I said, that email just states what happened. And I don't need what you're saying is I need to add extra pieces to this email that has nothing to do with with what happened. So if I made a left turn, I'm not going to write I made a left turn, sir. You compare somebody with a purple eye who refused police to somebody making a left turn. No. What you're saying is that I need to put that in there, even though I had already spoken to the hotel manager. All right. Did you describe for the jury that when Mr. Combs thought that a day was recording him? Do you remember that? Yes, sir. Situation. Did you say that you put Mr. Combs against the wall? Yes. That's a pretty aggressive move. Wouldn't you say that? Yeah. I mean, you could hurt somebody when you put them up against the wall. It depends. Yeah, because I wasn't aggressive. I just placed him. I put my hand on him and told him to let go of the phone. Where did you put your hand? On his chest? On his chest. Neck area? Chest. And you shove him back into the wall? Yeah. And you did it with your forearm? That is what you just did? Correct. For the ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Yes, sir. And put your weight behind it. So no, just my forearm. So that's the part of the body that you touch to Mr. Combs. To Mr. Combs. You pushed him against the wall. His chest level. His chest level. In 7R-141 in the third paragraph, the eighth line. Actually, the seventh line to the left of center. Do you see where you wrote he, meaning Mr. Combs, saw Maud a day holding his phone, and Combs automatically assumed he, meaning Mr. Maud a day, he, meaning Mr. Combs, was being recorded. So he, meaning Mr. Combs, grabbed Maud a day's phone, and then I grabbed his hand and told him to back off as we took his hand away from Maud a day. Correct. But today you remember it as you put your forearm into his chest. Yeah, I put my forearm in his chest, and his hand was there because he was pulling on a day's hand, trying to take it away. So if you're pulling right, your hand is here, and I put my hand here, and I'm grabbing his hand. So yes. But that's not what you wrote in the report. But I put that I grabbed his hand. Yes? But you didn't put that you put him up against the wall. Again, what you want me to do is add stuff that like it's already in the report saying that I grabbed his hand. I don't really want you to do anything. Okay. I'm just asking if it's in the report. It's not, sir. What you told the jury, no, sir. It's not there, right? No. Now in the video, if you need to see it, we're going to show it again, okay? Yes, sir. There are pictures of a broken vase. When you first come off the elevator bank, I'm going backwards, by the way. Yes, sir. I'm not trying to confuse you. It's fine. It's 11:15 a.m. We're doing the whole thing again. You're first coming to the 6th floor. Yes, sir. You notice because you're observant. Yes, sir. You notice that there are flowers on the ground. Yes, sir. And you notice that there's a broken vase on the floor. True? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that is when Mr. Combs again is sitting in the towel and his socks, right? Yes, sir. And Cassie is over to in the corner. True? Yes, sir. And the flowers are closer to where Cassie is. True? Yes, sir. And the vase is closer to where Mr. Combs is. True? Correct. And in fact, we see it on the video and it's juxtaposed because it's in the mirror, but we see that Mr. Combs is grabbing the flowers, tosses the flowers, but the vase goes down by his feet and breaks. Correct. True? Just want to be clear. You're not telling the jurors that Mr. Combs threw the vase, are you? No, sir. Okay. Counsel confer. I'm asking you to go back 9 years if you can't remember. Say you can't remember. Roger. Can you describe that room? Well, different types of rooms in the Intercontinental Hotel. It was a corner room. That's what you're talking about. His room? I'm going back, obviously, to the date at issue March 5th, 2016. Do you remember the layout of that room? If yes, can you describe it to the jury? If you can't, just say you can't remember. No, I don't remember. It was just a corner room. Do corner rooms have significance? By that, I mean they are better views, bigger. Some of them do. Yeah, depending on the floor. How about the 6th floor? No, not really. How many like rooms? Is it like a typical hotel that I would stay in? You just walk in and it's all right there as one room, or are there bedrooms and living rooms, bathrooms? Do you remember? Yeah, some of them have like a living room. Some of them have just a room. You open the door and the bed is right there. Were you aware that this room has the living room and it is not? When you first walk in, it's a living room. Have you seen those rooms before? Yeah. And when you go in further and there is a door and it actually leads to a bedroom, do you remember what I'm talking about? Yeah. Were you aware that this room was like that? No, sir. Now you mentioned that when you see this supposed third party, the gentleman sitting in the room. Yes, sir. Do you know what I'm talking about, right? Yes, sir. You have him on a bed, right? Correct. Now, you didn't go in that room further because the living room, did you? No, sir. How did you see into the bedroom? So, if they have a living room, those couches have pullouts and it becomes a pullout bed. That's what you're saying. This was a pullout bed. Yeah. Did you realize that this was a presidential suite in that hotel? Presidential suites on the sixth floor on the corner? I don't think so. You don't think so? No. Your Honor, may I have one moment? Court responds, you may. Now, you being a hotel, working with the hotel, you're in hospitality. I know you're in the security business, but it's also the hospitality business, fair to say? Yes, sir. I mean, you have potential presidents, dignitaries, they stay there, yes. I mean, heads of industry come to the hotel, right? Yes, sir. And there are people who are well known who come to the hotel. Yes, sir. While you're working there, I'm talking about. Yes, sir. And sometimes recognize people who come there just for their fame. True? Yeah. And that's what happened here when you got off the elevator. You recognized Mr. Combs. True? Correct. And you knew him from his fame. You wrote that. A public figure. Yes, sir. And he's a public figure. True? Yes, sir. And it is clear to you that he wanted to pay for the damage, right? The government objects. Ms. Slavik says, objection, Your Honor. It's called for speculation and mischaracterizes previous testimony. The court intervenes. All right. Mr. Steele, why don't you rephrase the question? Okay. It can be embarrassing if you know to a public figure to have that video released. True? Objection. Sustain, the court responds. Your Honor, may I have 1 second? You may. Thank you, Your Honor. All right, redirect. All right, redirect. Very briefly, Your Honor. So, redirect examination happens by the government, Ms. Slavik. Officer Florez, you were asked on cross examination about details in incident reports. Do you remember that? Yes, ma'am. Can you just remind the court of what an incident report is? It's just pretty much it's explaining what happened, what we saw, what we observed. Pretty much like I said, the 5 W's. And were you expected to include every single detail? No. In an incident report? No, ma'am. And did you typically include every single detail? No, ma'am. Now, you were asked several questions about Mr. Combs' demeanor when you responded to the incident. Yes. Do you remember that? Yes, ma'am. Did Mr. Combs seem in control of his facilities? As in, I'm sorry? Did Mr. Combs seem drunk? N- oh no, no, ma'am. Did he seem high? No, ma'am. Can you remind the jury what Mr. Combs said to you when he tried to hand you a stack of cash? Pretty much that he doesn't want anyone to know, telling me to take care of it. I just don't want people to find out pretty much. Now you were asked several questions on cross-examination about Mr. Combs telling Miss Ventura, excuse me, Cassie, that she couldn't leave. Do you remember those questions? Yes, ma'am. Now, you remember seeing the video that we played for you on direct examination? Yes, ma'am. Actually, Miss Gavin, could you play the video at 10C-103 starting at 31 seconds and going to 56 seconds? Video plays. Keep playing to 56 seconds, please. Video plays. Officer Flores, towards the end of that snippet, did you see Mr. Combs dragging Cassie? Yes, ma'am. What direction was he dragging her in? To the room? Nothing further. All right. Anything further, Mr. Steele? I left something out. May I ask just a question, Your Honor? Yes. Not on direct. Thank you. Recross-examination by Brian Steele. Sir, on the videos from the surveillance, they are motion censored videos. Is that true? Yeah. And that means that they will not record unless there is some sort of movement. That is how it's set up. Is that true? For the most part, yes. So sometimes we see gaps in time. Yes. And that's because either there is a glitch or there is something wrong with the system, right? Yeah. So there is no movement or significant movement to make the system capture an image. Is that true? Correct. All right. So if there is several minutes of no motion, that explains the time difference, right? Yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you for letting me do that. Your Honor, the court speaks. Ms. Slavik, did you have anything further in response to that? No, Your Honor. Thank you. The court. All right. Thank you very much. Officer Florez? Sure. The witness is excused. And that is the testimony and cross-examination of Officer Israel Florez. Tell me what you think in the comments. The next one is Daniel Phillips, the escort.